Okay, so everything we're talking about today, I've already spoken about before. We're going to get to what I've got on the screen here in a minute. We're going to start with Brittany Jones and transition into this next topic as well. But just to review, kind of recap, today we will be discussing the concept of Brittany Jones using a Patawomeck identity for her political campaigns with a particular time frame as well, current social issues with the Patawomeck tribe and situations such as that. And part of my title here is clickbait when I say Brittany Jones Patawomeck it causes harm to the Patawomeck tribe, and part of it is real. Because I said that as a way to both get you thinking about the harm that can be caused by claiming Patawomeck identity and by using that identity for your political campaigns, particularly at a time when we are fighting for tribal sovereignty and recognition. And also, it's clickbait because I have no authority to speak on the tribe. I am not a representative of the tribe. Nothing I say represents anybody else but me. Okay? So, this is just going to be my opinions and my thoughts and kind of like things I've been thinking of and processing recently. And yeah, I've already spoken about everything we've talked about before, so if I'm too kind of in my head or emotional to do a good job of explaining or clarifying anything you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, go watch my previous videos on this and that will probably explain it. But yeah, playlists are linked in the description of the video. So basically at this time, what we have as well in conjunction at the same time as this whole Brittany Jones situation is also in Virginia. We've got colonizers trying to deny that the Patawomeck tribe exists, and they say that if you look like my father, that you don't look Native American, that you look European, that you're European with a confused identity. They don't recognize treaties. They don't recognize birth certificates. They're not recognizing census records. They're not recognizing obituaries. They're not recognizing marriage records. They're not recognizing wills. They're not recognizing oral histories from the tribes. They're not recognizing their own colonizer documents on us. They're not recognizing the tribal connections we have with the tribes they do recognize. They're not recognizing archaeology. They're not recognizing the DNA results that do confirm that the Patawomeck descendants are from the Patawomeck tribe. It's been confirmed by DNA that we are we. And they don't recognize any of that. They say if you look like my dad, that you're not Native, that you're not from where you say you're from. They say you're white. Because of things like the Racial Integrity Act, I guess. I don't know. They say, that none of these records that we do have is documentation. That those records mean no documentation exists, even though we have a plethora of records. They say that my father, who was a dark-skinned Native American man, you can call me white, but if you look at my dad and call him white, when some of y'all are the same color as him calling him white, that's wild. It's fucking wild to me. Yeah. They say he's selling a lie about being Native because he discusses his Patawomeck ancestry. Even though my father has never received any benefits as an indigenous man. All he's experienced is racism and oppression. Make that make sense. And by benefits, I mean what people think of as benefits. My dad has never exploited any identity in any of his work, my dad is a hard worker. Everything he's ever had, he built himself. Anything he's ever given me, he worked so hard to do it. My dad was born one of 11 kids. 3 generations of truckers I come from. My dad's a mechanic. He can build anything. He can fix anything. But people say, you know, he's not native enough if he claims native. There are people who call him white. There are people who call him the N-word. There are people who call him black and African. But no one ever wants to say, oh, this is a Native American man. They say he's either white or African. Although he does have, like, I recently found, I used to not know that I had African ancestry, so I did not claim it because I think it's disrespectful to claim ancestry that you can't confirm you have, you know? So I thought it would be disrespectful to be like, yeah, my dad's black or African, when we never had that documented to my knowledge, right? Until I find out that in November 2025, my cousin sends me records from Ancestry.com with pictures confirming my dad's 5th great grandfather is African American. So the rest of my ancestors that I know of on my dad's side are either Native American, Powhatan of one tribe or another, but affiliation-wise, Patawomeck, in terms of like all that, by way of the lineage, blah, blah, blah. Or European, whatever. There's so many fucking countries that we descend from there. I'm not even gonna fucking listen. Fuck it. Alright? So previously I didn't claim African American ancestry because I didn't know I had it. Ever since I found out, obviously I claimed that. But with some caveats for respect, because I'm not trying to claim an identity or a lived experience I don't have either, right? So I don't know the balance there if I'm fucking that up, fuck. But I just say that, you know, my dad has Native American, African American, and European ancestry. Which is a fact. Now, with the whole Brittany Jones situation, tying that all together, right now, the Potomac tribe is fighting for federal recognition, fighting for our lives, fighting for every bit of tribal sovereignty we have. And Brittany Jones is utilizing the Potomac identity for her presidential campaign previously, and now for her governor campaign. And a lot of things have come out from that, including many people attacking Brittany on the basis of the Potomac identity. But not only that, they've gone from just discrediting her as a native to basically invalidating the Potomac tribe as a whole and our tribal members. So I want to discuss how the position she's put herself in, where that rhetoric has been so widespread, and at this point I feel it's kind of enabled. Especially if you check my last videos on all of that, you'll really see what I'm talking about, because all of the evidence is there. I just feel there's problems with, at this time that we are fighting for our recognition for our land rights, to be putting yourself in a position which further perpetuates a social concept that we don't exist, I do feel does cause harm to the Potomac tribe, in my opinion. And mind you guys, I don't speak for anybody but myself. And yeah, so I want to speak on that narrative, but it's like the reason I feel called to speak on it is, you know, we're going to go over the sources. I'm gonna roll my intro, then we'll go over this shit and you'll see what the fuck I'm talking about. You know, people are asking, if Brittany is Patawomeck, why aren't Patawomecks standing up for her and backing her as a tribe? Well, my response is, beyond the concept of the descendant identity discussion, which we've previously gone through, there's also the concept of, I don't know her journey with other members, so I can't speak to that, but that could be a factor, if there is, whether there is or isn't a journey there, as well as we are going through our own shit right now, and that we are focused on fighting for this. We're not worried about helping an individual with their career or win their platform for something that has no impact to us when they're trying to utilize a Patawomeck identity. Anyone that identifies as Patawomeck that I know at this time is really way more concerned, if we're going to be speaking out on something politically, with this shit, in my opinion. That's just me. Because I feel that, what are you going to do for the Patawomeck tribe over there in Oregon? We have until September 2023 is when this is filed. September 2026, 3 years later, is when they're going to make a decision. These next 6 months of how the Patawomeck tribe is perceived can influence that outcome. And the entire time the recognition paper has been submitted, Brittany Jones has been campaigning either as president or governor of the Patawomeck identity, creating an environment where people are dismissing the entire Patawomeck tribe. And instead of seeing, hey, well, since our identity's up for debate right now, let's hold off and fight specifically for the Patawomeck recognition, she's still trying to do her own campaign. And whether or not, you know, like, you agree with her politics or her to be on that journey in general, it's like that concept itself is problematic. Do you see what I'm saying? That's why no Patawomeck is sitting here like, yay, go Brittany for president, yay, go Brittany for governor. In my opinion, that's what I think. That's just my opinion. Okay? And you know what I mean? And it's not to put Brittany down, it's not to discredit what her intentions could be, and I'll address my thoughts on all of that later, because I mean no negativity towards Brittany for having ambition. I'm saying this is the impact of the current circumstances we are in based on the outcome of what has occurred. And I feel that if, you know, you really process what has happened, look at my videos, you'll at least see why I think this, even if you disagree or agree with it. And here, we got Jules. Hi, Jules. How you doing today? Where the fuck is my chat at? Marco? Oh, it's covered. Damn, I got too many pictures up. Okay, I gotta take that down. Oh, damn. Oh, now I see what I did here. That's unfortunate for me. Do I have to take that down? And then, do I have to take, let's see, that down? Okay, we got that up now. I thought I had another one. Oh, this one. Yeah, that one's bigger. Use that one. Okay. Oh, my bad. Winga po na tapawa. Oh, awesome. You know what? No, we're going to get into that. Alright, I'm sorry. I'm like this. I'm just going to go ahead and roll my fucking intro, and let's just do this bitch, okay? We're just going to do this bitch.
Winga po na tapawa. Descendants of one Seneca. Seneca Maka is the land of the Powhatan.
So first of all, there's a restaurant in Slidell called Los Tios. Okay, there it is. Okay, the captioner got it right first and got it right. I was about to correct it. But anyway, they make homemade corn tortillas for their tacos. And I know a lot of people do that, but these are the best fucking tortillas I've ever had in my fucking life, okay? Besides Ruby and Lisbeth and Evelyn's mom, owner of La Piñata in Meridian, Mississippi, Miss Mata, you know her food, that food is amazing. I miss her pozole and her tamales and her, yes, labor of love. Love that family. Go to La Piñata if you're in Meridian, Mississippi. But if you're in Slidell, Los Tios, and they have the best tacos in Slidell, in my opinion. The Mexican style steak tacos, a la carte, my favorite fucking thing. If I'm getting a taco, that's what the fuck I'm getting. So that's what I had for lunch. I'm feeling very satisfied food-wise, emotionally, but also I've been struggling with rage and anger lately, and I don't know why I'm like this. I don't want to be like this. I woke up today kind of fucking pissed off about the Brittany Jones situation, and I don't want to be mad at the whole Brittany Jones situation. I don't want to be mad at Brittany. I don't want to be mad at society, but I'm just mad at the situation we are in, and I feel like even Brittany hopefully could understand, given the circumstances of the political climate and everything, right? So let's get right on into that shit. Oh, I just noticed a polo. Yeah. Oh man, I'm losing the game. Fucking, okay, so Brittany is running for governor. And KEZI News put out this little thingy on that. So we'll watch that here.
A new Democratic candidate is...
I just realized my extra captioner was not on, but all they said was a new Democratic candidate is, and now I'm gonna hit
Governor Kotek in the Oregon primaries this spring. Brittany Jones says she's a Patawomeck.
Okay, the captioner is not working, but whatever. Oh, you know what? The side one is. Okay, fine. Also, they said Patawomeck instead of Patawomeck. I've honestly never really heard, I've heard Brittany Jones say Patawomeck, and I made fun of her for it before, so I wonder if they're just repeating her saying that. But I've always, in my family in general, heard it Patawomeck or Patawomeck, but I've never heard Patawomeck. But also, I'm not, I've never been to Virginia. I'm not close with, you know how big the tribe is though, first of all, but I'm not in the language classes. You know what I mean? I'm on my own journey with all of that. I've been in a journey with all of that and learning the language and doing what I can with reconnection at this time. My life is improving in the moment, but the past 4 or 5 years have been a shit show. Okay? So, fucking, and it's not that I didn't want to do that work to get there, but more of I didn't want to be a burden. I wanted to be in a place where I could contribute, and I wasn't going to be there needing things. I want to be able to give. I don't want to go when I'm in a place of I can't do for me. I wanted to go when I can do for myself so I can do for others. You know what I'm saying? It was about my mental health. It's been about my income. It's been about a lot of things. It's just I didn't want to be a burden to a community. I've been feeling fucking crazy. So I wanted to be in a better place before I do that, before I try and have them meet me, because it's just what if they don't like me? There's always that, but there's also the what if I fuck something up aspect, right? Even my videos could be bad, right? Anybody got criticisms about that, valid. Unless you're not native, then fuck right off. But anyway, fucking so, I feel yeah, that's where I'm at. My bad. Let's keep this going.
Descendant, a veteran, small business owner, and political activist. Her campaign says she will be available for questions at the Douglas County Democrats booth during the spring fair in Roseburg from March 27th through the 29th. If her name sounds familiar, that's because back in December, Jones was accused of squatting in the old world Gingerbread Village off Highway 126 near Mapleton by the property owner. While in the building, Jones ran a thrift shop under the nonprofit name of Raven's Landing. In a Facebook video post, Jones denied being a squatter. After a court settlement between the two parties, Jones was forced to leave the property at the end of December.
Okay, I think that's it. So, you know, recap who we're talking about. She's running for governor right now. Now, the Oregon Coast had made a little posty post a bit ago. Let's see if I can. Make it a little bigger? I don't know. Okay. So, the post says here, I went down the TikTok rabbit hole and watched a lot of reels and reading comments about the lady who is now taking over the old Gingerbread Village. Sorry, I started burping. In Mapleton, calling it the Ravens Party. It's really confusing with the information out there, but what is being said is Carol, the owner of the gingerbread, leased out the building to the Ravens Party for 2 days to sell merchandise, and she never left. Ravens Party offered to buy the place after an agreement, and later Carol backed out of the sale and wants her business back. Carol closed down the Gingerbread Village in March of 2025 due to health issues. As of late 2025, there are conflicting interpretations regarding the Ravens Party and its presence in Mapleton, Oregon. The group describes itself as a local entity that organizes community events. In December 2025, they promoted a fundraising craft fair for indigenous artisans and vendors at the Old Gingerbread Village building, 12300 Highway 126. While the user query mentions squatting, official documentation or law enforcement reports confirming illegal occupancy are not public. The group currently lists the Old Gingerbread Village as their operational location for markets and events. The Old Gingerbread Village is a well-known vacant landmark in Mapleton, Oregon. Law allowance for rapid eviction of unauthorized occupants within 24 hours in some cases. But as of December 2025, the Ravens Party continues to publicly advertise events at this address. Some say she is a squatter and refuses to leave. The Ravens Party changed out all the locks. It's been confirmed in court records that wasn't her, that was Carol. But anyway, and doesn't pay for water or electricity, and under squatter laws, the power and water has to stay on. I feel like that shit was also addressed in all of that, but I can't remember, so I'm not gonna comment. But that was addressed in previous videos, I mean, with the right information, because, you know, it was in the court records at that time. But I think this part is wrong. But anyway, if I'm not mistaken, I just can't remember the correct information off the top of my head to give you, so I'm not going to say the wrong thing. But then it says, under 501c3, the Raven Party as a specific entity isn't clearly a registered nonprofit. In these results, it operates with nonprofit goals. Okay, so we've already been, oh god damn it, I put my drink down on my fucking notes. That's annoying. Because I wrote some notes on here, and then I put my drink down at the bottom, so now it's like, did a thing, I don't know, whatever. Okay, sorry. Fuck. Anyway, so, that's kind of like a recap on some of one of the major events, I think, that sparked the most recent surge of kind of like outrage against Brittany publicly, in my opinion. But then what we have here is, you know, I just want to show you guys examples, because we've been through a lot of the examples of what I'm speaking about in my previous content on the matter, but I just want to show you guys here so that way you see again what the fuck I mean when I speak on these issues from the intro, like that I've been speaking on. So right here they're showing the email we've already gone through previously about how Bill confirmed about how Bill did confirm her lineage. That was covered previously. And yeah, and that I believe he may have confirmed, I don't know if he did or didn't. Did he confirm the endorsement? I don't know. I've never seen proof of the endorsement. I have seen proof that William confirmed the lineage. I did my own genealogical research. I'm not covering that at this time. all I'm gonna say is if Bill says it, then I'm just gonna go with what Bill says, regardless of what else I saw. You know what I'm saying? But because he is the one who's gonna know, like, what was there that I didn't see. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's the one that's gonna know, like, who's actually tribal members way more than I could. So I would never dispute with him or the tribe who is or isn't a tribal member. That's not my place. And it's not the place of anyone who isn't Patawomeck. If you're a Native American, you can have general thoughts. Go for that. But you can't speak to another tribe about who is or isn't part of their tribe or a descendant of their tribe, in my opinion. Only that tribe can do that. And if you're part of that tribe, just a general member may not have, you know, like, the right place to. They could if it's their family member with a certain respect to the lineage claimed or something like that, so then it would be their place. Or if, you know, maybe they have more insight with the history, then it could be more of their place. But when it's like I can't go sit there and invalidate Jules' lineage. That's not my fucking place. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if I'm making sense. But yeah, so here someone's saying that DNA does not matter. The tribal card makes it so you're illegal to fundraise and promote the tribe. Why not go to them if she is indigenous? Why are they not supporting her? It's because she is not legit. So addressing this type of commentary, because this shit comes up a lot with the Brittany Jones debacle and all this shit. Like, go through the videos, you can see some of it. And I didn't even read everything, man. Like, so fucking, that's kind of why I'm here right now. Like, it does matter, in my opinion. Her claiming Patawomeck identity has had a direct impact and direct correlation with public perception of the Patawomeck tribe as valid indigenous or not. And I think that does matter at the time, where the entire time she's been campaigning for herself for political positions, our federal recognition paperwork has been submitted. And instead of educating people on the history or putting yourself in a place to educate people on your family lineage and show your family lineage, show proof, show the history, show the records, like I've done, you know? Like, instead of doing that shit, it's just been like, so let's use that identity for a political position. And I just kind of, something like, I'm not fully processing it, but it doesn't sit right with me. But it's like, I'm angry, so I need to get it out of me, I think. But I don't want to be angry. I just kind of am. Yeah, and then it says, so the author here then said, yeah, she came to the wrong town to start all this. She don't realize the Oregon Coast community would make sure she's held accountable for any wrongdoings and called her out. I suggest she go back east. Somebody else said exactly. And then I think she may have actually been born in Oregon, if I'm not mistaken, which makes that kind of funny to me. And someone else said maybe watch too much Yellowstone. Okay. So, yeah. Brittany posted on here, hello, there are no law enforcement reports confirming illegal occupancy. Please stop spreading harmful misinformation that you are gathering from hearsay, people's opinions stated as facts, etc. Stop perpetuating the drama and lies. That's how you can help the situation. And then Brittany said, we also never claim to have tax-exempt status and openly talk about only being a state-registered nonprofit. We have no plans at this time to file for tax-exempt status. It is not required to be tax-exempt to have and run a nonprofit. And then someone else said, I noticed you forgot to mention the squatter is also a gubernatorial candidate for the state of Oregon. She's a real gem with so many kind words for all her constituents. And then, Brittany had posted, she commented something, if I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who is a moronic white woman, I wonder if she is there because of her excellence or white privilege. It almost creates thought patterns that are not necessarily wholesome. It creates resentment, doesn't it? And somebody responded, isn't that kind of racist to say? Reverse racism doesn't exist, so it's not possible to be racist to white people, in my opinion. Secondly, not for being white anyway. Like, if someone is a white person and they happen to have a different ethnicity, which would make them of a mixed race background, even if they're phenotypically white, they are racially white, they may experience racism as it impacts their other ethnic backgrounds, but I do not believe white people experience racism for being white. And fucking Brittany, though, she doesn't seem to understand the difference between race and ethnicity, potentially, in my opinion, because being an indigenous woman doesn't negate if you're white when you're mixed. You know what I'm saying? If that's true. And it is a fact that even if I'm native, even if she's native, we are also both white. We are white. We go into the road, we are perceived as white women. It's a fact. Like, that's it. And you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't, and I don't think she understands that either. So some of the, like, it's one thing to criticize somebody for their specific actions, but to sit there and just be like, I wonder if a white woman got a position because of white privilege. No shit. Every white woman has gotten at least one position due to white privilege. You can't change my mind. They may not have gotten every position because of white privilege, but you know we've gotten some of them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I just mean, like, my last job, I happened to work, like, my last job where I was employed for somebody else, my direct report, my boss, she's mixed woman, but she's black presenting, African American presenting. She's also Chinese. She's also Native American, straight up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool as fuck, right? But like, just getting to know her is cool as fuck. But she's Taino, she's Choctaw, she's black, she's African American, she's everything. But at the end of the day, first and foremost, she's perceived as a black woman. If I go shopping, when we went out, like, people are like chasing her around the store, keeping asking her if she needs anything, but she doesn't let that get to her, right? She's like, yeah, you know what, you're gonna hold all my shit, bitch. Here you go. Yeah, I need you to hold this and I need you to hold that. You can follow me wherever the fuck you want. Hold my shit. You know, that's how she handles that. But I don't experience that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so I understand that, you know, we don't get every position for being white. She just liked me. But she said she met me, she was like, you're a weird bitch. I picked this weird bitch. And I'm like, yeah, I am a weird bitch. That's how I got that job. Anyway, fucking, and I love her. I love that woman. But fucking, so I don't know. I just feel like I don't understand the point of this post. You know, it's one thing to comment on white privilege. Like, if you talk about something that happened, so maybe we could understand, then I would see the commentary, right? Like, if you say, for example, I was dealing in customer service and this white woman asked me about my father's family, and then she was racist when she found out they were Mexican, then I would understand the following statement, right? You know what I mean? Like, if there was like a scenario explained that would explain the commentary, that would make sense to me. But in and of itself, just calling someone a moron because they're in customer service, maybe they can't help you. But even still, I feel like it just kind of comes off as like a lack of understanding for the human condition. She's just probably trying to do her job and go home too. Shit. I don't know. You know what I mean? I could see why people have thoughts about that out of context. Who knows the context? Because there would be context where that type of commentary could make sense based on the situation, but without context, it's like, it just kind of looks like, what the fuck is that, man? I don't know. But yeah. So anyway, this post is linked in the description of the video. Oopsie, oh, that's going there. So next up on Instagram, you know, normally I do not agree with putting kids on here, and I am trying to take them down. Shit. There we go. My bad. My bad, kid. Leave the kids out. Those kids are adorable. Kids have nothing to do with this shit. Those kids are adorable. My bad. Did not mean to show them. So, fucking, and you know what? Brittany's good looking too. So, here, this is where she was talking about the connection of missing and murdered indigenous relatives with her presidential campaign, and association of her indigenous identity with the presidential campaign. And this point in time is when the initial hate against Brittany started becoming widespread, where people started saying, you know, Brittany is a fake pretendian, she's claiming Patawomeck, and all Patawomecks are native. Let's see. Well, Brittany posted, I'm trying to show the comments on here because exposer's asking why is there kids on here. To me, the context of this post and the description, the caption she put on here outweighed the risk in terms of understanding why and showing proof of where she associated her political campaign with this identity, with these social movements, right? So showing that proof and the timeline of that with the presidential campaign, because I've got a lot of evidence for it on the governor campaign, so I needed this for the presidential. She's the one who does keep bringing her kids into all of her political campaigning posts, which other people have been then using her kids maliciously, I think, against her, which I disagree with. And even if I disagree with kids being in the political campaign in and of itself, it is a fact that that is a social norm in the constructs of the United States. A lot of political candidates do that. They bring their family into it. And so even if I disagree with that, I don't necessarily judge her for doing what may have been normalized to her. But I do feel that it is valid to criticize political candidates for using their kids as well. But yeah, I don't like to show kids on my page. I try very hard to not show kids. Sometimes it's like, a couple of kids have slipped through my videos. Apologies, just checking that. But I try real hard to take it down as quick as possible, you know, like I did just now, or if it happens, or like whatever. Like sometimes, like I only leave it up when I really feel that the context outweighs the risk. And anytime a kid has ever been shown on my YouTube streams, it's in a situation like this where we are covering someone who's a public figure, such as a political candidate, who we can't control what they posted publicly. We are never going into any person's private profile to show kids, nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't do the whole, you know, because in TikTok, when people don't like you on TikTok, they'll post their kids up and then they'll be like, you're a bad parent and you need CPS card and blah. You know, no, fuck that. We don't do none of that here. But anyway, yeah, so I wasn't trying to show the kids, I was trying to show the fucking comment. But, so she was posting on here that she was participating in a missing and murdered indigenous relative races. MMIR stands for missing and murdered indigenous relatives, if you don't know. So she's connecting the virtual race to her presidential campaign. So down here, and being an indigenous woman. So right here it says, if you would like to support the missing and murdered indigenous relative virtual race or donate to the cause, please visit the official MMIW website at mmiwusa.org. Your contribution will help provide resources and support for the families and communities of missing and murdered indigenous women. As a presidential candidate, I'm committed to using my platform to raise awareness about the MMIR crisis and work towards meaningful change. I believe that we can create a society where everyone is safe and valued, regardless of their gender, race, or background. Let's continue to stand together and fight for justice and equality for all. I'm honored to have the opportunity to participate in the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relative Virtual Race, and I'm inspired by the strength and resilience of our Indigenous community. Okay, so right here, if she had left the presidential part out and the rest of it was the post and the only part and that was the post, it would be an amazing post in and of itself. No notes, no commentary. It's the association with the presidential campaign that then becomes problematic, because it's the use of trauma that you may not have direct experience with. I don't know, because it is a fact that even if you're white presenting, you know, you can experience the ramifications of the missing and murdered Indigenous woman crisis, relative crisis. All Patawomeck descendants, every Native American descendant, our ancestry does have that, no matter what, right? But the issue then becomes your lived experience as well when it comes to representation of the issue. If you, for example, didn't know you were Patawomeck until 2021, and you, even if you experienced violence prior to that, if you didn't have that identity, if you were only seen as a white woman, that may not necessarily be the same as being targeted for being Indigenous, the same way as what happens with the MMIW crisis. And it's not because white women experience sexual violence too. You don't have to be Indigenous to experience violence. It does not negate the trauma or the violence or whatever you experienced or went through. That is valid if that happened. But what I'm saying is you can't associate your trauma from before finding out that identity to what people are targeted for with that identity, if that's not an identity or a lived experience or a presentation you had before. You know what I'm saying? So for example, I believe that there are certain members of my family who know my ancestry, and I do believe that them negating things that happened, them supporting my rapist, them doing certain things to me, is perpetuation of the MMIW crisis when they were weaponizing my identity against me to do so. But I don't believe the man who sexually assaulted me saw me that way. I don't believe the sexual assault in and of itself was part of the missing and murdered Indigenous person crisis, because him assaulting me had nothing to do with it. It had nothing to do with me being Native. And I don't think that just because you're a white presenting mixed Native, that then means any trauma you've experienced is now part of being MMIW. I don't believe that. I believe you would have to have been targeted for being Indigenous for it to relate to MMIW. I believe you experience, if you have the ancestry, that would mean you do experience epigenetic traumas and triggers related to MMIW crisis. And that you experience potentially, depending on your connection, impacts of relatives affiliated and impacted by the missing and murdered indigenous people crisis. But I don't believe that if you're not experiencing a lived experience based on being indigenous, you can then associate anything that's ever happened to you with that, just because you then find out later on you have the ancestry. You know, that's my opinion. Other people can disagree with that. I would love to know your thoughts so that we can share those thoughts if anyone has those thoughts here. But yeah, that's just me. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. But I think that itself is why a lot of people dislike Brittany Jones to begin with, processing it more. I think that is why people don't like her, and how the hate started from the presidential campaign and the use of the missing and murdered indigenous person crisis with the presidential campaign, when she had just found out she was Patawomeck. You know what I'm saying? Now, here, Brittany had posted also that, let's see, that they are doing a competition on TikTok to get more views and shit, and gifts and everything like that, which I think is great. But I think this is another reason also why people hate Brittany Jones, is because she does get gifts and diamonds and views from the political campaigns, which she uses a native identity for. And so I think those actions, along with, you know, what we covered in the previous video with the car raffle situation and things like that, and the campaign donations, all of that combined is what has created a negative social perception of Brittany in the public opinion, in my opinion. It's why I think people don't like her. And so we're about to move and transition into the other social issues that people are facing, you know, but before we get there, let me like read my notes real quick. Ah, shit, just closed out the wrong tab. Okay, now I want to read my notes. So, kind of connecting all that, before I bitch about the Virginia Stafford Board of Supervisors a little more. Fucking, why people don't like Brittany Jones, why the Potomac tribe hasn't been speaking up to support her, things like that, all kind of marinating on that concept. That's just what we're here for. It's not about shitting on Brittany. It's just about, if you want to know why doesn't the tribe speak out for her, why don't members of the tribe support her more, I think all of this is why, you know. But yeah, so and I want to remind everybody, like, there's a big difference between being on social media or a business owner. Most businesses, not every business, because there are certain businesses that are basically monopolies, so they kind of are different. But being on social media or a business owner is a lot different than being a political figure. Because if someone doesn't like me, they don't have to buy from me. They'll never see me again. It will not impact their life at all. They do not, you know what I'm saying? So when you're just on social media or just doing business for yourself, people don't have to fucking like you. You can kind of be more fucking crazy and it doesn't fucking matter, because as long as you have enough people to keep you going, that's all you really need, right? Like, you don't fucking have to be this person that's palatable to others. You don't have to be socially acceptable. You don't have to be for everybody. You don't have to be mainstream. You can just say, do, be whatever the fuck you want, and who cares? Because fuck them, you know what I mean? But when you are a political figure, you are now in charge of people. Your decisions determine and impact everybody's life within that jurisdiction. And so that's where people look at you entirely different. Everything about you is now under microscope, up for criticism, because people have the right to an informed decision on who is going to be leading them. They have the right to criticize who's going to be leading them. They have the right for a public opinion on the things that that person does. And I think Brittany isn't used to that level of criticism. There's also less laws that protect public figures, such as political figures, than someone who's in business, right? Because there's going to be more leeway with public opinion allowed, because people don't have to fucking like you. When you're a business owner, you know, and people like, and I understand to her, she's kind of both at this point, but she needs to, it's kind of like clocking in and clocking out, right? Like, just because you're a mom to your kids doesn't mean you're everybody's mother. For example, like, if you are, just because you do have another job doesn't mean when you're running for candidate you're not on shift as candidate, you know? And so I think that's where, but then as a candidate, everything you do is under the microscope, because people need to understand how you move in business transactions, as that is going to impact what you do for them in your role as their like leader, depending on the way, the path you take, or if you get elected, or things of that nature. So a lot of where Brittany wants more control of the narrative, she's not going to get, because that's not going to happen when you're a political figure. You know what I mean? That's censorship. And that's just not going to happen. She does have rights in terms of, you know, like, if she can prove certain things didn't happen, she does have legal rights to then take legal action if there is slander, etc., because I have seen some of that. Some of the stuff people say is just straight up fucking lies. But she's not going about it right. Like, you don't just comment and say, you know what I mean? Like, because the way she goes about it makes her look like a joke, with love. But I swear, I think people are just laughing at her when she makes some of those comments. This is a cease and desist. No one's taking that fucking seriously. Stop, get an attorney. Okay, not that you may not have an, like, it's not to dismiss, it's just to say, like if she was just a business owner, who gives a fuck it, whatever, because she could still get buyers. But when you are a political figure and you're representing the Patawomeck tribe as a political figure because you're using that identity for your campaigns, it's kind of like, bitch, shut the fuck up, you're making this, you know. But that's just me. I don't know. Okay. So, previously, did I already read all these notes, or is this a different one? I think this is a different one. I don't know. So previously, I have said that I don't think that Carol needed to pay that much for a lawyer, because another attorney could have represented just as well, and maybe better, for about half the price. I'm just saying, potentially, and I kind of want to look into that lawyer. But anyway, also, I think that Brittany Jones should wait to advertise services until those services can be fulfilled properly. Also, I didn't say this before, but this was just a random list of shit I thought of, like, randomly, so it may not all be cohesive. Fuck it, it'll be alright. Anyway, because right now, like, if you're advertising things that you can't do right now, or aren't doing, or haven't done, it's going to be perceived negatively. And this, if you just focus on what you can do right now, only advertise that, and then wait until you can advertise, to do the next thing to advertise it, that would avoid being seen as someone that is unable to follow through, you know? And so, yeah, like, so for example, she's talking about wanting to do the housing protection, drug addiction, feed the homeless, and all of that. She realistically, with her current resources, cannot do all of that right now. She needs to figure out what she can do right now, only say that one thing for now, and offer that one service for now, and promote that one service for now, and then as you can do the rest, put that up. Because right now, it's like, say someone comes to you, they actually need these things, and if you can't follow through, that doesn't look good for you, and it also actually harms them. Because they could have, because that's time, energy, resources that are life-saving for them, that they could have spent somewhere where that would actually give them tools they need. And it's kind of like when the bombings of Gaza first occurred, I saw a lot of white people doing these, like, campaigns promising to get families out of Gaza. And I kept saying, like, y'all are putting yourself in positions where you can't follow through for these families. Why are you doing this? Stop. And it's very similar to me, but yeah, like, you don't offer something you can't follow through on, you know? It's false hope when when these are life-saving things for people. So yeah, let's talk about her skill though. She does have the ability to influence. That is a skill she has. And I want to see her connect that skill of awareness to action. That is why I am putting these criticisms out there, because I believe she can do better. I believe she can. Now, I want to talk about pan-indigenous unity versus division. So previously, I've basically kind of said I had some criticisms with the concept of pan-indigeneity used, because people will, for example, Brittany Jones was saying that because she has jingle dressed and ate fry bread, that's what made her have a native cultural background to Powhatan people. Neither of those things are Powhatan. And so I have criticisms with how some people utilize pan-indigenous unity to associate themselves to community when they're not even participating in their own culture. But when you look at social movements, and I've previously said, you know, like, I didn't think that didn't think that Native Americans were able to get as much done for ourselves as the African American community has at this point. I was going on in terms of reflecting on civil rights as a whole and the impact to the construct of America as we know it, right? But I feel that statement is problematic as well, because I feel like I am not properly giving credit to things such as, people, organizations such as AIM, MMIW, Land Back, Indian Collective, you know? So it's not about discounting or negating any amazing organizations like those or others, you know, but it's about just saying, like, as amazing as this work is, as incredible as these people are, when you look at the social movements that they've been able to get through, most of the work and the efforts they get through are for Native people, which I love, appreciate, and respect. Versus when you look at civil rights movements, which were able to impact all people, why does more credit go to African American than Native Americans, even though we do have, you know, these things that we've done? I feel some of that is because people don't understand that a lot of what Native Americans fight for is Earth, Mother Earth first, which is for us all, because duh, we're all fucked without this planet, and everything Native Americans do is for the fucking planet. But also because since our tribal sovereignty is what we've had to fight to maintain, everything we've done has been under that umbrella, because that is the only way we are recognized, if we are recognized. And then they refuse to they either refuse to recognize us, or they refuse to apply what we fight for to the construct of America. So, for example, how many treaties have been violated for where people are trying to do oil or mines or railroads on Native land? You know, so I think the reasons Native Americans aren't seen as people who do much in civil rights isn't because we don't do much in civil rights. It's because under colonialism, they try to make it seem as if Native Americans want tribal sovereignty or want to put Mother Earth first, that makes us more self-absorbed than them somehow. is how they kind of spin it. They act as if we're not doing enough for them too, you know? That's how it gets written in the colonial world, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, I do believe everything that indigenous people fight for does help everybody. But that's just me. But yeah, so I think, you know, pan-indigeneity can be used for unity and it can be used for division. It just depends on if we're trying to organize for social movements or appropriate a culture. But yeah. When it comes to Brittany as well, though, I feel like from what I've seen her advocate for general Native American movements, you know, under pan-indigenous unity, which can be good, but I've seen no advocacy for the Patawomeck people from her, and I've seen no advocacy for the Patawomeck tribe or anything. You know, I've seen a couple of posts she made where she tried to share some historical tidbits, but why isn't she fighting the Virginia Stafford County Board of Supervisors? Why isn't she promising to, like, if she gets a position, make sure that no Native American tribe would feel the way that Patawomeck tribe feels today? Things like that, shit like that kind of bothers me. And does she have any remorse for what she put Bill through? Does she? Because now, because of her, we got people harassing Bill, not only through his email, but also people posting online acting like he's not Native enough. Does she have any remorse for that? Because she's never posted it publicly. Like, you know what I'm saying? That could go a long way in getting some Patawomeck support. But yeah. And a lot of people do see her as someone who is grifting. I don't think that she's intending to grift. I think she's following the footsteps of what has been normalized to her from how other white people typically would run their campaigns. And I think she's just doing what she sees, or in a way, with some of those decisions. I do not, apologies, I don't think that she's intending to grift, but I do believe that is the outcome of her actions. Because if you really thought that you want to be governor, you want to be president, would you not try city council first? Try being a mayor first? Because for me, it's just like if Brittany Jones came up to me and said, hey, you have cancer and I'm going to operate on your brain right now. Let's schedule you for surgery. And I'm like, bitch, did you even go to medical school? Do you do a residency? Are you a surgeon? Like, what team do you have? What hospital do you work for? It's the exact same. You know what I'm saying? Like, if she wants to be president, she wants to be governor, I support her doing that. I just think she needs to do the steps to do it. She's not gonna just be governor because you say you want to be governor. I want to be queen. Am I the queen? I can't just be a queen because I'm saying I want to be queen. The queen of what, bitch? The queen of bullshit. Anyway, but it's just fucking, it's kind of like that. It's like, if she wants to do that, if that's her career goal, I support it. I just don't think she's going about it the right way, and I don't think the journey she's taking is going to get her there. I think she should reroute. You know what I mean? Like, I think she doesn't have a support system supporting her in achieving these goals, and so she's just kind of shooting for the moon, and if she reaches, maybe she'll land among the stars situation. I don't know. Anyway, and on that note, though, you may say, if she doesn't have support, how does she have volunteers for her campaign, which is unpaid labor? You know, I disagree with unpaid labor. I've always paid my street team members at least $1 per poster, $1 per handbill. I always have. I pay my street team members. personally. Actually, I don't think it's $1 per handbill. I think it's less per handbill. It's $1 per poster. It's technically less per handbill, but they leave like a stack of 10, and that ends up being $1. Whatever. Technicalities. I just remember that. But anyway, fucking. So, I just feel like, on one level, I understand that it's normal to have campaign volunteers for any political position. That's just what they do. And a lot of it can be beneficial because some people use it for like college internships and shit like that. But on another level, it's like the part of me that doesn't believe in exploiting free labor just can't, like, you know what I mean? Like, I would feel too guilty. Like, I would have to get them paid. And mind you guys, I'm someone who's never been rich. Like, I was literally making $18,000 a year, still paying my street team members to promote my shows when I was doing them. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's okay to be broke. Fucking, I don't know. But yeah. And then I want to talk about, like, learning language for the culture, learning language to reconnect, learning language because it feels right to feel close to your ancestors, to pray, versus, are you learning language for a campaign? Because when you ask somebody, hey, teach me how to introduce myself for my governor campaign, that in and of itself doesn't look good. Because I'm someone who uses, you know, my language in the fucking intro music here. So I'm not someone who's saying, oh, it's wrong for a descendant to try and use the language at all. That's not what I'm saying. It's about the way you go about it. It's about the intent. It's about the point. And it's one thing to say, hey, I'm going to publish a statement and I want to make sure I'm correct with public representation before I make that public, you know, type shit. But to basically be like, teach me so I can introduce myself for a political platform for me to benefit off of our culture and identity while we are under attack, and I'm not helping that, and people are attacking you more because of me, and the public perception is at risk even more because of me. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of like leads people to believe like you don't really care about the tribe, right? Like, it's just kind of like, dude, recognize that we've got other fucking problems right now. No one gives a shit about you introducing yourself and kick it the Womack for your fucking campaign. But, you know, maybe I'm being harsh. Like, I'm being a bitch. I'm sorry. Fucking, I'm just like, bro, because it does piss me off. Like, when you look at what they're saying about us, look at what Helen Rountree is saying about us, look what Rick Macgregor is saying about us, what Jerrilynn Macgregor is saying about us, what the Stafford County Board of Supervisors is doing to us. You're not speaking out for any of that. Look at what the comments are about you, about us, because of you. And instead of putting that out, you escalate it more. And then, while that's all happening, and we've got less than 6 months to change public perception to hopefully get recognized, you want to play oh, let me use the culture to introduce myself for my campaign card. Like, that leads me to believe, are you doing it for the right reasons? Like, go learn the fucking language just to learn the language. Leave the campaign out of it. I don't know. Put it on your personal TikTok, your personal Facebook, you know what I mean? Like, put it there. But I do not believe that Kick It the Womack should be used for colonial government. Like, it just pisses me off conceptually that the very government that erases us is what she wants to use for her political platform, but she doesn't want to fight them for erasing us right now. She just wants us to make her feel she's native. Huh? That's how I feel like when I think about it. That's why I kind of woke up mad, because I'm like, let's look at the intent versus impact, right? Though, because even if she doesn't mean to be that way, maybe she doesn't mean to be why people are discrediting the Patawomeck tribe. Even if you didn't mean to run into another car because you weren't paying attention when you were driving, wouldn't negate if you damaged the other vehicle, though. You know, so there is a difference between how something is perceived versus what you wanted to do. And I can understand when you're amidst descendant, people invalidate your identity so much that you get to a point where you're just like, fuck you guys, I'm native. Fuck everybody, I'm native, right? I get that mindset, and I would never judge Brittany for getting there, for identifying as native on that concept alone. I would never judge for that, no. But if people were discrediting the tribe even more, like, it's one thing, as a mixed native, no matter what, we're always going to have people discredit us and our tribe just because we look white, no matter what. It doesn't matter if, you know, your dad looks like mine. You're going to have people discredit you because you're a mixed native, no matter what. But when you are a specific reason as to not just one or two, but dozens of people, and not just dozens of people, but people in news outlets are creating public records which are now questioning the legitimacy of the Patawomeck tribe at a time when our federal recognition is up in the air, and we have colonizers taking our land rights away. It does come off as, you know, kind of seeming to exploit a Patawomeck identity for your own benefit without actually trying to be a part of the community. And I'm someone who doesn't feel like I know how to be a part of the community, so who the fuck am I to speak on that or for that? But it's just like, huh? You know? I feel crazy. Anyway. But yeah, and also our community, you know, well, we're not a monolith. No one's a monolith, but there are members of our community that believe in tribal identification of a connected descendant. There are members of our community who believe if you have the ancestry, if you have it verified, if you're connected to the tribal members who can verify that, they believe that there's no, oh, I'm a descendant. They believe you're just fucking native. They don't believe, they don't care how far back your lineage is. If you're native, you're native. That's what many people in our tribes believe. Not everybody. We're not a fucking monolith. But that is something to contend with as well. And so from those teachings, I would never judge Brittany for standing firm on being a native woman. If she is claimed by Bill Deo, if Bill verifies her lineage, then that's it. But it's the way it's used in her political campaigns and the timing particularly that I think is getting her into a lot of trouble right now with Native community, and is why I do not think she has the backing and support of the Patawomeck tribe at this time, in my opinion, as a collective. And I'm not anybody who can speak for anybody. That's just me shit talking on what the fuck I see. I don't represent nobody but me, myself, and I, and all the voices in my head. Okay? Now, let's transition to the recapping the calamity in terms of the political climate that I've been speaking on and referencing to why I think this specific timing too of how Brittany is using the Patawomeck identity in her political campaigns is what could be causing harm to Patawomeck tribe via public perception at a time where we are trying to change public perception in order for our recognition. What is happening on the other side, what Patawomecks are currently more focused on right now? We have the Virginia Board of the Stafford Virginia Board of Supervisors, as well as Helen Rountree, as well as Jerrilynn Macgregor and Rick Macgregor. We have all of them basically arguing, they took away Patawomeck land. They are claiming that if you look like my dad, you are white, incorrectly claiming indigenous heritage, that you're not a descendant of Native people, that no documentation exists, and they're saying that if you look like my dad, you're selling a lie about being Native, and that you're too white to be Native. They don't recognize our treaties, they don't recognize birth certificates, they don't recognize our census records, they don't recognize our obituaries, they don't recognize our marriage records, they don't recognize our wills, oral histories, they don't recognize their own colonizer documents on us. They don't recognize our tribal connections or with other people that they do recognize. They don't recognize archaeology that confirms our presence continuously. They don't recognize the DNA results which confirm we are Patawomeck, and they don't recognize that my dad experiences racism from them or others. Right. Okay, so let's get into that. So mind you, the Virginia Stafford Board of Supervisors, these are the people who recently voted to take away Patawomecks land. And when they were voting to take away Patawomecks land, people who were speaking out for them to take away Patawomecks land were, and mind you guys, I've already read all of this, so go check out my previous shit for that, because I'm not doing that again. That would be Helen Rountree, 2 Native American chiefs that don't want to name themselves, as well as Jerrilynn Macgregor, and as well as Rick Macgregor. So yeah, I've already addressed this article. I'm not doing it again. I'm just pulling it up to cite like the bullshit, you know, with the Brittany Jones situation. And mind you guys, I just want to remind everybody that non-indigenous scholars cannot be experts on indigenous people. Helen Rountree is being published online with words that market her as an expert on indigenous people. I do not believe she is one. And my basis for that has been, and I will maintain, that if you're not Native, you cannot be an expert on what it is to be Native. Okay? I'm just putting that out there. Not everybody agrees with me on that, but you can suck my fucking dick. So, I just want to remind everybody, like, this is the climate we're in. Yeah. And it's like, with all due respect to Brittany, it's like not about bringing harm to her. Whenever I criticize her use of the Potomac identity in her campaign, it's just about saying, you know, because if she wants to be governor, if she wants to be president, I think if she went about it the right way, she has the ambition and the desire to get shit done, maybe she could. But I think that wanting to do well isn't enough. You have to put that work in first. You know what I mean? And that is what we all need to see from her, in my opinion. Yeah. I'm spiraling again per usual. I need to go work and shit like that. But thank you for joining me today. I just kind of wanted to get all of that out there. It's something that's been kind of bubbling and boiling up inside of me. Because I wasn't trying to be, you know, like, I don't know. I wasn't trying to be, angry. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be mad at Brittany. I don't want to spread any negativity towards Brittany's campaigns. I just don't agree with the usage of the Patawomeck tribe at this time for political gain. It's just not something I agree with. You know what I mean? I support her reconnection journey. If her lineage is verified by Bill, I support her reconnection journey. I hope she does learn the language in a good way and go about it in a right way. I just don't think that the current road she's on is going to lead to a path where she achieves her goal in the political office that she wants to achieve. And I do believe that how she's going about this has had direct impact with negative consequences for the Patawomeck tribe, because people like her are why we are not perceived as Native. I'm just putting it out there. That's my opinion. I appreciate you guys. I hope everybody has a good night. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope everything works out for everybody. And yeah. Also, before I go, one more thing. It's not that I don't think Brittany is causing harm to natives because she's claiming Patawomeck tribe just because she's a mixed descendant. I think it's the way she does it in her political campaigns combined with the background of social issues and concerns with some of her statements in her reconnection journey. I'll have to, you know what I'm saying? I'll have to process that better another time, but I hope you know what the fuck I mean. I appreciate you guys. I'm leaving for real now because I'm a shit show. Okie dokie, bye. Thanks for watching. Join the loyalty program at noladeathchild.com/loyalty and check in during live streams to get points for rewards.